Hello, cinephiles, and welcome to Silver Screen Sips, a podcast where three idiots talk about movies. And today we'll be discussing The Hobbit, Battle of the Five Armies with Mr. Tommy Burke. That would be a moment for you, Mr. Burke, to introduce yourself.
You want to step on anyone's toes. You guys have such
Go
a
ahead. Step on all of them.
It's such a fine machine. I didn't want to step in it.
No, you're good.
Absolutely.
We talk over each other all the time in this, so
Super.
feel free to cut anyone off. So yeah, this is Thomas. What do you go by?
Tommy Burke, Rat Bastard, any of those.
This is Rat Bastard, everyone.
Oh, Jesus.
Not to be confused with Fat Bastard from Austin Powers.
Yeah, no, definitely not.
The screen adds 20 pounds.
Yeah. Why don't you go ahead and tell everyone a little bit about who you are so that they know who Rat Bastard is?
Oh, people are going to come over the street and say, "Hey, Rat Bastard."
Yeah, I know you.
I've been called worse. Can you believe that?
Really?
I'm a first AD. I was in the film business for 33 years. The DGA first AD. Retired for the last 4 or 5 years. And I'm looking forward to being on this podcast.
Well, thank you for coming on. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, we're happy to have you.
It's soon. We just started, so hold on.
Yeah, he might change his mind. Trust me, you will. But before we begin, Lewis, you want to give everyone their warning for this episode?
As always, there is a brief warning for spoilers about movies you probably should have seen at this point, or references to other movies and shows that probably have been out for longer than the Battle of the Five Armies. But anyway, yeah, just know you've been warned. We're going to go ahead and get started.
Yes. So, Tommy, what we're going to do is kind of just do a little interview about what you do. Obviously, you kind of already mentioned a little bit about that, but we'll go a little more in depth so that you're not just some stranger. So we'll start off with the like super generic, boring, basic question of like what you've kind of worked on in the past in the film industry. Obviously, you've had a lot of experience. So like, what are some of the ones that most people have probably heard of or seen?
Okay, start right now.
Yes, and action.
Thank you so much, Bethany.
Yeah.
My name is Tommy Burke. I went to a business school, didn't have any film capacities whatsoever. Fell into it in Boston, worked on some high profile films. I was a PA on Mermaids. That's one of my biggest credits. And then I came out to LA. They said, want to be an AD, you got to come out to LA. So I came out to LA working, and the last 2 major projects left. The last show I was on was Chicago PD. I was on for 5 years, and I left.
That's awesome.
First AD, should I get into what a first AD does?
Yeah, actually, that is one of Lewis's questions, because I don't know if you know this, but Lewis is not he doesn't know a thing about the film industry.
Bethany, you are in the business. Bethany, you're a gaffer or something like that, DP?
I do photography and editing mainly, but I actually do some side work. Sometimes I'll do some, grip and PA work as well.
And I have nothing to do with the film industry.
He's just here.
You're lucky.
He supplies the drinks.
You're lucky.
I mean, I know all about the restaurant industry.
I worked at 10 different bars and restaurants in 3 states.
So far I've worked at 4, all in one state. And hopefully I won't have to go back, but it's still a possibility.
Thanks.
Oh, yeah. And then Isaiah, also, him and I actually went to school together. That's where him and I met, but he works at a movie theater.
Yeah, good old film school.
What school? Did you guys go to film school together?
It wasn't anything like super crazy. We didn't go to I wasn't willing to spend money on it. So my parents paid for it. So I went to just like a local state college that had a film program. But I mean, hey, I met Isaiah, so I got something out of it.
Better film school than I went to.
Oh, yeah? What was?
I didn't get any. It wasn't any film school.
Oh, yeah, that's fair. That's true.
The world was your film school.
It honestly kind of felt like that when we went, but except less money.
I tell people when I go to speak in a lot of places, I do speeches. I go around the classroom and go, What do you have? A script? Do you have a camera? Why aren't you two guys working together right now?
Oh, yeah.
I'm big at it. Just don't wait for anything. Just get in, get involved. Start making things.
Network, man. So Isaiah, you actually have we we all have a couple questions to ask. So I'm going to let Isaiah take the reins now that we kind of jumped in.
Yes. So I was reading part of your book, and I noticed that one of your things is you love coffee, and so I don't know why that inspired my question of being like, what's the most important tool and or skill you think you need to in order to be like a successful AD other than coffee?
Well, actually, it's funny because we already touched on it a little bit. It's working together, getting people to work together. I say I didn't go to film school, but I went to 10 different bars and restaurants that showed me how to work with people and get people the best out of people. So that's the restaurant business was my biggest credit. So getting people to work together, communication. There's a lot of maniacs who know about CG and all that stuff, but getting people to work together and keeping the train on the track, so to speak, is the most important thing.
You're taking notes, Isaiah?
Yes.
I agree. I think the person, because I've also been in the restaurant industry. I was in the industry. I was there. It sounds so pretentious, but like
the space industry, the restaurant industry.
I dabbled. I was there for about, I don't know. I was at some dead end restaurant. It was called, but I was there for like 6 years, and I think that experience changed because before I started working there, I was the quietest, most introverted person, and it forced me to go and talk to people, and it made me like those years there is like complete change in my personality, I think. Because now I'll just go up to whoever. I don't fucking care. I got a way more like less I guess anxious about it.
Yeah. No, I'm 7 years deep.
7? Really?
That was me, yeah. 7 years, 4 restaurants. Aside from telling you how to work together with people, it's also a great lesson in self-reliance. Depending on what part of the restaurant you're in. Yeah. I know I can share with Tommy having been a dishwasher briefly. Even though that wasn't like my full-time, that wasn't actually my full-time position.
You're in the dishwasher industry?
No, I very often took over as a dishwasher if nobody was fucking getting their shit together, so to speak.
You hear my wise ass answers when I was a bartender for a while? Some guy came in the restaurant. I'm Boston, so everyone's a wise ass. The guy said to me, I want a Greyhound. I go, what's a Greyhound? Food in the vodka. I said, why don't you just say that? Why'd you have to come up with a fancy name of that?
Yeah.
See, after I read, actually, I didn't know what a Greyhound was until I read that part of the book. And I was like, vodka and grape juice just sounds like, or grapefruit. Sorry, not grape juice. Grapefruit juice sounds like the worst combination for your stomach, at least for my stomach.
It's actually a more common drink than you think for people.
Is it really?
Yeah.
That was my first time hearing it. Was in that little paragraph there.
When I was bartending, I heard people ask me for grapefruit juice a lot.
Isaiah, you had a second question, didn't you?
Oh yeah, it's like a little side question. I was wondering, just to satisfy my curiosity, I was at which celebrity were you most excited to meet when you found out you were going to be working with them?
Affleck.
Really?
I mean, I didn't have much film nuances as you guys did. I didn't know much about film when I got into it. So I worked with Peter O'Toole, but I came to enjoy and expect him for Dennis Hopper. I didn't know that much about him, but I worked with him and I got to enjoy it.
Yeah.
I guess Ben, I didn't really have you guys probably have a better idea who you want to work with. I was not a big film guy. It was like a restaurant job. It's another job. You got to get it going. That's it.
Yeah. I remember I did read that chapter where you got to work with Cher. I know that's a pretty unique memory for anybody, but I don't know about you.
I can't tell you how many people have interviewed me on podcasts and they haven't read the book. I really appreciate you guys reading the book.
We all three read it, but it's saying a lot because I don't know about them too. I don't read. Like, it's not like my thing. But this one got my attention because it was something I was interested in. It's like, oh, it's not some boring like nonfiction. Well, it is a nonfiction, but I mean like some boring like, I don't know, romantic drama that I just can't get with those kind of books. But this one was like right up my alley.
Yeah, we can talk about shots and liquor. That'd be great.
Oh yeah, for those listening, he wrote a book. That's what we keep talking about.
We're not going to tell you what it is. You're going to have to figure it out. You're going to find it. Yeah. Find it somehow.
Yeah, we're really bad at this whole like promotion thing. Yeah, we're bad at promoting. We're bad at promoting ourselves even. So yes, he has a book. It's a really good book. Definitely should go check it out. Where can they actually find it?
They go to tommyburke.com. They can find the audiobook. And people easier to read, digest. And the book, they have a Kindle book. Everything's there. Tommyburke.com. It's also on Amazon too.
Yeah,
it's not just sunglasses and autographs.
Yes,
it's really good. Easy read, funny. Okay, so let me see here before we get on a side tangent. We always do. Lewis, did you have any questions?
I did. I feel like Tommy did kind of answer the first part of this question because I know that as the first AD, you are directing everybody. But what would you be able to kind of like break down, I guess, what you would do in a situation where you would have like maybe not 50 extras, but we're talking like 300, 400 extras for a shot or for a film or TV show? How do you break that down?
What do you mean breakdown for scheduling? Breakdown using them?
Yeah,
moving around the set.
Yeah, so like if we had to, I mean, I know that with the Hobbit movies they probably used a lot of CGI, but if you had to shoot a battle scene for like a army fight, right, and you have like 200 people on either side, and you want to place them in specific areas, do you do that all yourself? Or are you having somebody else like kind of break that down for you?
Well, as I alluded before, I was a first AD. I fell into first AD. I went from PA to LA.
Mm-hmm.
But I was on Mermaids as a PA, and he said, "Berkey, what's your first AD this film?" I was like, "Sure, whatever." I did good at first AD, so I went right to first AD. I didn't second AD that much, which is going to piss off a lot of second ADs. But remember, I come from not a artistic world. I come from I'm going to say it again. I know we beat it to death, but a restaurant world. You got to get the job. You got to get the food on the table. That's what it is.
Yeah.
I'd say the second ADs, whatever you want, shooting in 8 minutes. I mean, a lot of second ADs, like, they'll have a person.
8-minute ticket times.
Exactly. The second ADs will go, okay, they'll tell the extra, okay, I want you to go here. I want you to go to this table. I want you to think about your mother, think about your father, think of this plate. I think what this plate means to you. I'm like, just get him to move. In 8 minutes, we're shooting.
Get it done.
I like that. As my secondary question, since we've already mentioned shots and cocktails so far, what is in the king size cocktail from Tony's, or what was in?
Oh, it was we used to sell quart containers. People come in and get a quart sauce because they liked our sauce. So I'd get a Tanqueray bottle, get a quart container, fill up halfway with ice, and I'd just go, "So, what do you think you're doing tonight?" "Oh yeah, really? Okay." And this is me holding a bottle over the quart container, just talking for about a good 2 minutes. And then finish the rest with tonic.
There you go.
All right,
gin and tonic.
That is a king size cocktail.
Oh yeah.
I may or may not have partaken in things like that in some hypothetical restaurants I worked in.
Hypothetically, allegedly.
Actually, misread you, Lewis. The king size cocktail was a Manhattan.
Oh, it was a Manhattan, really?
Oh, okay. I
mean, that's this back in the day when these guys were coming for 2 or 3 of these. I mean, they had drinks and they had sidecars. Sidecars are a little extra.
Yeah.
These guys were smashed by the time they got out there.
So it was a Manhattan, but like a bit bigger, or
Manhattan and a half. Let's put it that way.
Oh, there you go.
2 or 3 of those, and then
Manhattan.
There they go, and they're probably not eating either.
So I actually want to touch a little more now that we actually talked about the book. Now that people know it exists.
As a reminder, the title of the book, it's Not All Sunglasses and Autographs.
Not just sunglasses and autographs.
Sorry.
Oh my God, Lewis, he's fired. I'm so sorry.
Not just sunglasses and autographs. There we go. Apologize, Tommy.
I'll say this. I'll tell you later. Now the title has actually a long distance connection to the movies we're watching today.
Oh, really?
Really? It all comes together.
Exactly.
So we kind of already talked a little bit about your book, but can you kind of tell us what that experience was like? Was it any similar to like screenwriting? Because at points throughout it you kind of
allude.
Yeah, you kind of use screenwriting examples, or like literally the first sentence of the book is like straight out of a script. Is kind of what it feels like, at least for those who have read scripts. So like, did you find it similar, or did you kind of find it challenging at all?
Well, the book itself was, people say, and I'm glad they said it, it's very conversational. It's like me talking, because I don't know any way to do it. I didn't go screenwriting. I didn't, I can't write for say myself. I got a decent editor named Aaron Anderson, but it's just talking. So that first chapter, because actually I did have the first chapter, and one of the directors I worked with, I gave it to him to read. No one knows who you are. They don't know what you do. I put the first chapter, which is all about ADing, as what an AD does. So people have an idea,
I think it's very well done then, for you not really having any, I guess, prior experience to
oh God, no.
writing. Yeah.
Oh God, no.
Well, like you said, like, I agree. It's kind of like just sitting down across from you with a drink and just listening.
I've got that like 7 times.
Really?
Yes.
Well, I guess that means something then. Yeah.
A cup of coffee. Well, I'm glad that's the biggest comment, because if people could figure out, that's not me. What little you know about me now, I'm pretty straightforward.
Yeah. Now that it kind of sums up our interview portion of our show. So now we're going to hop into our news segment where we kind of talk about like the latest news in Hollywood. Obviously, you might also have some news. So if we say anything that or we don't mention anything, you feel free to mention something at any point. But Lewis, you can go ahead and kind of take away with our intro to this segment too.
As you're all tired of hearing me say this every single time, but this is everyone's favorite segment of our podcast. It's going to be This Week in Hollywood. Isaiah is starting us off with sports.
Yes.
No, he's not.
I just fell out of my chair.
Yeah, he looked a little scared, like, whoa, wait. I wasn't told we were talking sports.
We're creatives here. We don't do sports. All right, well, to start our sports, quote unquote, lots of news this week. The new Paramount Dungeons and Dragons movie had its opening weekend. Yes. Well, if you call fighting a dragon sports, could be.
Yeah. Rolling dice.
Rolling dice. So the weekend, it raked in $40 million in the U.S. For those who don't know, the film is based off the classic RPG dice rolling game. It features a star-studded cast including Chris Pine, Michelle Rodriguez, Justice Smith, Sophia Lillis, Hugh Grant, and a ton of others. And I don't know if anybody else watched it, but I watched it, and I had a great time. I also bought, there's a tin that comes with the movie. It's like a...
Did you get one?
I did, yeah. It was $35, but I bought it.
Those tins are awesome.
It looks like a giant die, like a 20-sided die. That's what it looks like. You fill it with popcorn.
Yeah. No, I've been told to go check it out. I just haven't had time, especially these last few days. But I'm hoping to see it either soon or once it comes out to streaming, which, sad to say, I most likely will watch it when it comes to streaming.
Same.
But I'm very glad to hear that Sophia Lillis is starting to make more roles, because I saw her in, oh God, what was the show? She was in some Netflix show that was like a rip-off of Stranger Things, but it was so much better.
A rip-off?
And it got canceled because Netflix cancels everything good. And I'm just glad to see her in other stuff. She was also in It. She was the girl in It, for those who are like, yeah, she had her own lead role in a Netflix show, and she was really good. I think it was like I Hate Everything About This or something. I forget what it's called. I'm butchering the name.
Not okay with this?
That's it. I'm not okay with this. Close enough. I Hate Everything About This. It's pretty similar, but really good. I really wish they had kept it going, but anyways, I digress.
Yes, Lewis, tell us about the most insane news I've heard all this week.
The most insane news we've all heard, and probably the most exciting in my opinion, the Scott Pilgrim movie is officially coming back as an anime series with the full original cast as their original character's voice actor. The show will be coming to Netflix, and I'm sure you're wondering, what does the series have in store? Apparently that remains to be seen, but it sounds like it won't be a just straight up remake of Wright's movie. As the director for the Scott Pilgrim series said, it doesn't just expand the universe, but also, well, just watch it.
Man, that sounds like quite
a wild ride.
I remember. I don't know. Have you guys all seen Scott Pilgrim?
Yes, I
Okay.
saw it in theaters. Yeah.
It was pretty. I didn't see it in theaters. I think I was too young.
It didn't come out that long ago.
Well, I mean,
I
like
liked
too
it.
young to be like, I want to go see it. Scott Pilgrim, you know,
How old were you in 2010?
10.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm really young. Yeah, sorry. I know. I'm a 2000s kid. Now, we touched on this in a previous episode, but actually, in fact, we named the episode about this headline. But we were talking about the Disney's Lilo and Stitch live action remake that they're working on. And originally, the last we had heard was that Zach Galifianakis was the latest to join the list, most likely as Stitch, yet they still haven't like confirmed who he's playing as. I also heard he might be the like one-eyed green dude.
Legally.
Forget his name.
Dude.
Thank you. But recently Disney has officially casted their Lilo. We had not heard who the Lilo was until now. So it has been officially confirmed that the newcomer, I am so sorry if I butcher her name. I couldn't find a pronunciation, but it is Maya Kealoha, I believe, and has been casted as Lilo. So this is her first actual film debut. Like she's never been in anything before. So this is really huge step for, and she's young. She's like Lilo's age, maybe a little older, maybe like 10 or 8. Like if you look her up, she's really young. So this is a huge and possibly challenging, no, not possibly, definitely challenging role for her to be taking on. So best of luck to her. I can't imagine your first role being such a big one, you know?
Those are words, yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. I try. Isaiah, what you got?
More sports. We always come back to sports.
Mm.
Now, you might know him best for the role Tonight Show as the drummer and joint frontman of The Roots, Amir Questlove Thompson. Love that guy. Apparently, he is set to make his film debut with the live-action CG version of the Disney classic, The Aristocats. Now, Questlove has already scored an Oscar in the past for 2021 documentary Summer of Soul, and we're curious to see how this handles the Disney side of things. Also, for his first time directing, it's going to be CGI and
Listen,
live action. That's going to be a tough challenge.
as long as it's nothing like Cats the musical movie, we're good. As long as it doesn't look like that, we're good.
So I'm gonna jump back to your headline for a second, Bethany. The girl is 5.
Oh,
She is 5 years old.
There's no way. She looked way older than 5. Not way older, but she looked like 8 at least.
She'll be 6 now in 2023, but
Yeah, but odds are they've already started filming, so she's probably.
yeah.
That's
Was
crazy.
it a cigarette she was smoking that made her look older?
Yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah, during his introduction of 5-year-old Maya Kealoha, Edgar Ombach, the MC of the November 2022 Little Miss Kona Coffee competition, said when she grows up, she would like to be none other than a star.
well, she's off to a great start.
Jeez, yeah, she did it.
And that was a headline from 2 days ago.
Man, this little.
So she is.
I'm worried for her. I feel bad.
She put enough money away for therapy.
Yeah, that's where most of her income's coming. We'll see. But the Aristocats, I don't know if you guys saw like the original Disney movie for that. That's one of my favorite Disney movies. But
I haven't seen it.
yeah, I mean, I haven't seen it in years either. But that used to be one of my favorites growing up.
Also one of my favorites.
Yes, I'm curious who he'll cast, but I have a feeling since it's Questlove, the music will be amazing. Yes.
Absolutely. To our next headline, with Lord of the Rings right around the corner for us, it's perfect timing that it's the 20th anniversary of Return of the King Extended Edition will be returning to theaters the week of April 13th and until April 19th.
No,
Is it just this? Sorry,
it's just April 13th and 19th.
Sorry, I misread that. But they will be timing the 20th anniversary Return of the King Extended Edition will be featured in theaters on April 13th and April 19th.
Featured in films.
For the film, audiences will be met with an introduction from none other than Elijah Wood himself, discussing the impact of the trilogy with footage captured at the 2023 LA Comic-Con of the world premiere of the brand new Lord of the Ring role-playing tabletop game, Lost Odyssey: The Red Scribe.
Oh, we're buying that.
Yes. Elijah will be taking audiences through this limited fan event with a celebrity cast to raise support for Extra Life for Kids, a program of the Children's Miracle Network hospitals.
Mm-hmm.
How sweet.
Man, if we had timed it better, Isaiah, you could have seen Lord of the Rings the right way.
Yeah.
In addition, in theaters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't do that to me. Don't do that to me.
So sorry. Someone's car outside's going off. If you guys can hear that, my bad.
Faintly.
Oh, it went away. So we're good.
They're stealing your car, Beth. Run.
Yeah. Oh, don't worry about it. It's fine. It's just one of my 5. So finally, we'll talk about our last headline here. We have to talk about Wes Anderson's new film, Asteroid City. I don't know if you guys have seen the trailer yet, but I am super, super pumped for this. It looks amazing. It is a 1955 set romantic comedy with, as you'd expect, a crazy stacked cast, including, now this is a long list, so bear with me, Jason Schwartzman, Tom Hanks, Bryan Cranston, love him, Tilda Swinton, Edward Norton, Adrian Brody, Steve Carell, Maya Hawke, Willem Dafoe, Scarlett Johansson, Margot Robbie, Jeff Goldblum, Sophia Lillis, and many, many more. I could keep going, but then this will be a 3-hour podcast. So as for the movie itself, though, just go watch the trailer. Honestly, it's hard to explain what it is, but it's like 1950s. Like if anyone who's listening ever played Call of Duty, it's like Nuketown vibes. That's the best way I can put it.
Nuketown before the town gets nuked.
Yes, it looks incredible to say the least. So definitely go check it out. Don't know when it's in theaters. I am blanking on the date, but the trailer says all the info you need. So go watch the trailer.
It's June 23rd, 2023, by the way.
Thank you. Tommy, did we miss anything?
No. I actually have a question. Do you think I want to ask this esteemed panel this question? Do you think a lot of actors now, like Michael Cera, Jack Black, are getting lazy about roles? They're only taking roles that they want to take, like the old days when people just get a role every chance they get?
Yeah, I mean, I think yes and no. There's certain actors who really struggle to get jobs. Like I know Daisy Ridley from Star Wars had a lot of problems after Star Wars was over getting another job because everyone hated Star Wars so much, which was just super messed up. But like she started kind of, I mean, she was in a couple big ones, but she started kind of leaning towards more indie filmmaking, which I really respect a lot of big celebrities that go and work on these independent projects like that. Cause it's like, they're more, to me, that speaks like I'm more in it for I'm not in it for the money, but I'm in it for the actual love of film. Mm-hmm. I could be wrong, but that's the impression I'm given.
I'm here for the craft. But
to answer your question, I think it's kind of like it just depends on the celebrity, but yes, overall, yes.
I don't know about Wes Anderson movies, but are all those actors you mentioned, are they just in short bites of the movie? Because in AD, if I come in for 2 weeks, shoot my stuff out, I don't carry the film, yet I'm in a big film.
That's a good question. I know
even like with the French Dispatch, everybody was in there for a decent amount, and
they're usually pretty prominent roles, all of them for the most part. I personally have not seen a Wes Anderson film, but both Lewis and Isaiah have. So they could probably speak on that better. I told you this.
Not by now, you would have.
This will be my first one. I see. Probably is going to be Asteroid City.
Though from the trailer, it does seem the people who are prominently going to be in there like all the time is going to be Margot Robbie, Scarlett Johansson, Tom Hanks, Jason Schwartzman, and Tony Rivaldi,
and Steve Carell too seems to have a decent.
Yeah, but that's also like without giving away too much of the film before you actually go see it. Because I know with French Dispatch, if you go see the trailer, you probably don't see half the cast. But then watching the French Dispatch, because that one's almost like 3 films in one. Each of these like huge stars gets their own pieces in each part of the story. And And I want to say that I wanted to jump back to what Tommy had mentioned, was that I feel like in the cases of people like Jack Black, I don't even want to say that he's taking any role he can take on. I want to say this was a chance that he took on out of like just being a pure Mario nerd.
Well, that's what I'm saying. People they're choosing roles they want to. They're just taking their time. They're not. In the old days, people were acting. They want to keep on top. They want to keep on top. Now, with so many different streams of revenue, the Moana, what was the live action thing you were doing?
Oh, yeah. Yep.
People can do voiceovers. They can do, so maybe that's why they're not as hungry for films anymore.
Or the case of like, I mean, you also have like the other people who struggle, maybe not with the hatred of a film they were in, but more with like the backstage politics, like Brendan Fraser did, coming back with The Whale. But that's a whole other.
I think there's two sides to every. I think too with Wes Anderson is I feel like he's a complete different like category, because he's known to have like star-studded casts, but
in very strange films.
Yeah, there are certain movies where I'm like, that is such a cash grab, I guess is the best way to put it. Like you're putting this person who is a big character, a big celebrity name in this movie, even though they're probably not the best fit for this character, just so that people will be like, oh, I like this. I like so-and-so. Let me go see it because they're in it, kind of thing, instead of focusing on what actor or actress is best fit for that role.
In my old days, we used to do low budget films, and what they do is try to think of a medium actor. When they come in and if you got to schedule an actor in a low budget with 4 different scenes, but you got to put them all together because they're big. So my favorite part is when the producer would come in, walk in my old office, like 3 in the afternoon on a Friday, go, we got a chance at XYZ actor. You got to get him out in 2 days. See you later. Bye. Because I schedule the whole film. I schedule everything. They think I have some magic wand in my hand that takes more time.
Well, there was actually a quote that you had said in your book that I was like, oh my God, I hear this on set all the time. And it's just like, time is money is time, And it's like, yeah, you have to, I swear, before I go to a shoot, I probably chug at least 3 Red Bulls and I just go in.
Oh, Jesus,
I might be exaggerating, but I go in. All right. Shh, you don't have to out me. I'll do what I got to do. That's what I'll say. And I'll go on set, and you just have to constantly be moving. And I think that was always drilled into my brain in the restaurant industry, actually, because my boss would always be, even when it was dead, even when there was nobody in the restaurant, they'd be like, what are you doing? And I'd just be like, nothing. There's nothing to do. And he's like, there's always something to do. Like whether it's cleaning, like detailing, whatever.
If you got time to lean, you got time to clean. Let's go.
There you go.
I use that in the film business. I tell my PAs, keep moving.
It's like, there's always something to do. And I think that got drilled into my brain so much that when I'm on set, even if I personally can't find something to do, I'll go to someone and be like, can I help you? Like, is there something that I can do to kill some time? Maybe like, what can I do to help, essentially? But I don't know how I got onto this. I think I started side tangent. My bad.
Good.
I do that a lot.
We were talking about just keep it moving.
Yeah, keep it moving.
Yeah.
Speaking of keeping it moving, Lewis, what do you got? Sorry. Let me wrap up. So that concludes our This Week in Hollywood segment. You can find all of our sources cited on our Discord channel and our news sources channel. So, yes, that's that. Lewis has how many drinks? One? Just one. One drink prepared for us today that is themed around The Hobbit, Battle of Five Armies. So what do you got for us today for Big Lou's Big Brews?
So this one is themed around just this would have been a better fit probably for the last episode. Doesn't matter.
Last one was rough. What was that one drink that was like, not the shot. The shot was good. I can't remember what the second one was.
It was Smog's Gold.
But like, what was in it?
Schlager. Goldschlager.
That was the shot. The gold.
He's like,
was
now's
the
my
spot.
chance. He's like, they're testing me here to know if I've been listening.
And then the second one was it was a drink called Smog's Gold. It was basically just a honey bourbon.
Yeah, that's what it was. It's like
but,
bourbon with honey and like lemon, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It's like a hot toddy, but without the tea.
Yeah, basically. This one is called the Eye of Sauron.
Oh boy.
Is there Fireball in this?
No.
Wow.
Thank God.
There's the link.
Surprise.
There is a link. It's actually pulled from a Reddit link.
Oh boy.
Because I had found it originally on a food blog, but when I clicked the recipe, it took me to this Reddit page. Here we have a picture of it, and let me throw it in the director's chat too. So our Eye of Sauron cocktail.
Ooh.
Oh wow.
This slight modification to the original recipe is that I have Ale 8, a soft drink from Kentucky. But normally they use ginger ale. You could also use ginger beer.
Oh,
it's really your preference.
I love ginger beer.
So you're going to have 1 ounce of your choice of gin. In this case, they had St. Augustine.
Mm-hmm.
3/4 of an ounce of Saint Germain elderflower liqueur.
Mm-hmm.
It's not cheap stuff. A 1/2 ounce of lime juice. 1 ounce of blood orange juice, citrus juice, and 2.5 ounces of your Ale 8 or it's actually called a late one. But it says Ale 8. So you could do your ginger ale, your Ale 8, or your ginger beer. All you're gonna do is mix your ingredients in a shaker with ice, shake it without, of course, the ginger beer or ginger ale because the gas will cause the shaker to pop open. Since some people will not think that through.
Gotta remind them.
Mix all of your liquor ingredients, not the soda, into your shaker. Shake it up, strain it over into a fresh rocks glass with fresh ice. Top it off with your ginger beer and garnish, in this case, I believe, with a slice of blood orange and a black cherry.
Hence that it looks like Sauron. I like that.
Yes, it looks like the Sauron, the Eye of Sauron, and this would have been a great reference to the scenes where Sauron's eye is appearing multiple times in the second Hobbit film, as well as in the Lord of the Rings trilogy. I actually could not.
He has a prominent.
No, he still has a prominent role in Five Armies.
It works.
He has a prominent role throughout the entire set of films, just being that he's like the background evil that they need to vanquish.
Yeah. Imagine if they pulled the Star Wars and instead of them being like Sauron is like he never died or whatever, what if they were just like somehow Sauron returned like they did in Star Wars and just didn't explain it?
Right. And then they said extended universe doesn't exist, but then here's an extended universe plot line. Now it's okay.
Take it. Yeah.
With no explanation at all. But yeah, so this is the Eye of Sauron. Personally, I actually would give this a 5 out of 5. Only because I've tried St. Germain's before. So I know this is actually a delicious drink. And I'd be interested to see if I could actually make it at home. The only problem is finding blood orange.
Do you have elderflower liqueur?
No, I don't. I need to get some St. Germain's.
How expensive are we talking? You said it was pricey. I just lost my car, apparently. So I don't know how much money I have.
I just pulled up a $35 bottle off the website.
Okay. Not bad. I mean, it's not terrible. You definitely would be like, you'd have to have a couple different cocktails already in mind to use that up because it's a very specific ingredient.
Yes, and it's meant to be like a liqueur, so it's expensive for liqueurs because those tend to be cheap. So think of like your peach schnapps, your Citron, like Grand Marnier,
Fireball. Yeah,
no, like the additive, the flavor that you add in. So you think of those things, but so it's a little bit more expensive on that end, but it's still an excellent addition to sweeter cocktails that you want to make with like things like gin and more of like a flower herbal taste to it. I don't know what you guys might rate this. I don't know if anyone will agree with me on that 5 out of 5 rating. I just have a personal experience with a cocktail I had to make with St. Germain's.
Tommy, what would you rate it on a scale of 1 to 5,
Well,
based off of what you've heard.
Yes, I'm going to out myself. I don't drink that much anymore, but I would do a 4 because I like it.
All right. Simple enough. Short and sweet. I'm going to give it a 4 because I like it. It's perfect.
Yeah, that's how I am. Conversational.
Oh, yeah. There it is. Isaiah, what about you?
I don't think I've ever had. I'm pretty sure I've never had elderflower.
I don't think I have. I mean, I've had elderflower, but not liqueur.
Mm-hmm.
Look, could you explain what that would taste like? Other than, like, does it taste like flowers?
I want you to sound like one of those wine connoisseurs that like gives me like the palate. I'm getting hints of oak.
I mean, it's not supposed to be like the most prominent flavor in the drink, so I have to pull it up.
So would it taste more like orange juice then?
No, because blood orange doesn't have as much of an orange juice taste. It has more of like a.
Yeah, there you go.
No, it has a different. It has a unique flavor as far as like citrus goes. So it's not going to be like very strong.
It's like a mix of like grapefruit and orange.
So it's got a sweet, but it's got a sweetness and an acidity to it at the same time. A little bit more than a normal orange would be.
Tangy, if you will.
Yeah, I guess so. I guess that would be a way to put it.
And ginger.
It's ginger ale.
Yeah, ginger ale.
Basically.
So I think like ginger ale and all these things would work well together. So I give it like a 4 out of 5.
Good high rating so far.
Okay.
I would have to say
saline solution.
Yeah, no saline. Yeah, I don't know if you saw that episode, but a couple episodes ago we had a cocktail that had literal saline solution, and I
heard it.
It's disgusting. I don't get that one. But
have you guys ever heard Irish Mist?
Yes.
No, I have not.
Irish liqueur. I've walked into bars and I say, "Do you have the Irish Mist?" And they go, "No, we don't." I go, "It's right behind you." No one drinks it. So, Lewis, I've never met anyone else drinking it before. So, kudos to you.
What is Irish Mist for those who don't know? Not me. I know what you're talking about.
Irish liqueur.
Is it like any? Like, why doesn't anyone drink it? Is it just not good, or
for old ladies?
So naturally, Lewis has had it. Got it. Okay.
Sorry, Lewis, how about you?
All right. It just has a strong flavor, but no, it's a good whiskey-based liqueur. It's not very common. It's mainly produced in Ireland. So.
The Irish.
I'm drinking whole bottles of whiskey. Let's put it that way. So by myself.
Then you fit right in.
Exactly.
I would have to give this a 5 out of 5. Not only because the theming is beautiful, and for those who want to see the photo, it is on our Discord as well. But we have, it just is, it looks like the Eye of Sauron. I mean, as much as a slice of orange and cherry can look like the Eye of Sauron, but the theming is great and it sounds delicious. I think I've mentioned 100 times, I love ginger beer. I love the flavor of it, or ginger ale, or whatever this Kentucky version of that is. Also love the St. Augustine. Woo, Florida. Never heard anyone say that in a sentence before. I think I'm the first person.
You may be the last.
Yeah. But I mean, the blood orange, it just sounds refreshing. It looks refreshing. So yeah, a 5 out of 5 for sure.
Sick.
Good job, Lewis. That was much better than the last one.
Thanks.
I liked it.
Oh.
Since we're on the subject of alcohol, Lewis, do you want to take a moment to thank our sponsor?
Yeah, we'd just like to take a quick moment to thank the sponsor of today's episode, Shaker and Spoon. This is a monthly subscription service that gives you bar quality recipes and ingredients designed by award-winning mixologists. If you'd like to try out your very own subscription, then please head on over to shakerandspoon.com and use our promo code SIPS10, that's SIPS10, to get $10 off your first subscription. Again, that's going to be promo code SIPS10 to get $10 off.
Job. Yes, I need to get another one soon, because I ran out of my last box very quickly.
They should just send us more free boxes.
Yeah. What do you mean? It wasn't free? What? No. All right. So let's move on. Let's move on to my question of the day. We're going to do Isaiah's favorite game, trivia. Woo.
Yay.
So it's going to be like game night. So, I'm going to ask you some questions about the movies. If you know the answer, you can buzz in. Just wait to buzz in until after I've given you the options, because there are 4 different possible answers. Only one correct. So let's begin. Is everyone ready?
Okay.
Awesome. So, question number 1. In which age of Middle Earth does The Hobbit take place in? Is it A, the first age, B, the third age, C, the fourth age, or D, the second age?
Why are these out of order?
Buzz.
Throw you off. Lewis?
Second age.
Incorrect.
Damn.
Does anyone want to buzz in for the steal? Only one person can buzz in.
I got it, Buzz.
Okay, that's the most unsure buzz.
I want to
Isaiah,
say.
what's your guess?
I want to say the fourth age.
Also incorrect.
Damn. Okay.
Oh,
Would have been
man.
the third age.
All right, you have 2 options here, Tommy, to get this right. 50-50 here. It's either first or third.
I'll say third.
That's correct. Good job. 1 point for
go.
Tommy. As always, our guest wins. Alrighty. Question number 2. This one's a little bit trickier, even though the first one was already kind of tricky. What instrument do Biffer and Bofer play? Is it A, the dulcimer? I don't know how to pronounce that. B, harp, C, lute, or D, clarinet?
Can you just pronounce the first one for me again?
No. Dulcimer? Dulcimer? I don't even know how to. I've never even heard of this instrument, so I don't even know what it is.
I don't want.
Sounds made up. Oh, it's like a little. It's like the things in Legend of Zelda, kind of.
An
The little-
Ocarinas?
Kinda, but not really. It's with strings instead.
ocarina.
A similar, like a bigger version of that.
Oh, it looks
Not
like
an
a...
no, not an ocarina. The little like tick tick. What are those little tick 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 things?
Tick, 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 tick.
You know what I'm talking about?
Tick, tick things, yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, who wants to buzz in?
I'm gonna buzz in.
What is
Buzz. And I'm gonna say that first thing that we cannot pronounce.
No, it's not. Who wants to buzz in next?
Buzz.
Lewis?
The loot.
Incorrect. Tommy, you got 50-50 again here.
What are the last 2 choices again?
See, he's playing the game. He's waiting for you guys to inevitably get it wrong, and then he's down to 2 answers.
Oh, I'm a guest. I'm trying to show my good taste.
Yes, it is either harp or clarinet.
Harp.
Oh, incorrect. It was clarinet.
I'm Irish. I went with the harp.
Yeah, that's fair. Alrighty. So 1 point, Tommy, 0 and 0 for Isaiah and Lewis. I mean, he kind of already won because there's only 3 questions, but we'll do this last one for all the marbles because odds are he's going to also get this one right. So let's do it. Why not? Where has the necromancer taken up residence?
Is there a multiple choice?
Oh, you guys should know this one, so I'm not going
I
to
mean,
give you
I
an
do. I do.
You do?
Buzz.
What is
The
it?
local doer.
No.
Really?
What?
Yeah. No, you're
That's what they
incorrect.
That's what they kept calling it.
Mm-mm. That's not what I found online, so.
Oh, wait, no, that he got banished from Dol Guldur, so I am wrong, yeah.
We got two more buzzes here.
I don't even know. Dol Guldur is gonna be my answer too.
I have
No,
no
that was-
answer.
You have
I have
no
no
answer.
answer.
All right, well, it was
I-
Mirkwood.
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 What?
That was the huge forest that they went through in the first one with all the spiders.
You're right.
Mirkwood, and then he was like past that where Radagast and all that happened. So like, yeah, I was in Mirkwood. See, I feel like if I had said all 4 options, it would have been very obvious that it was Mirkwood because the other options don't exist. It was like Blackwood, Duskwood, Mirkwood. It's like, okay, obviously the answer is there. So, okay, Tommy, you won by a landslide. These guys hadn't trained them well enough. Now, I had a tiebreaker question in case you guys all somehow tied, but that didn't happen. So I'm still going to say it because I'm very curious.
Of the answers?
Yes. So clearly this movie is called Battle of the Five Armies, which implies there are 5 armies.
Oh.
Yeah.
Who can name all 5?
I knew that was the question.
Next question.
I knew that was the question. I knew that was coming.
Oh, yeah.
I could try.
Okay, go ahead.
So there's Ironfoot's army. There's Thranduil's elfin army. There's the people of Lake Town, technically. Azog's legion. I don't know if you count it as a separate one, but Bolg had a second army.
I've seen the same thing.
And then, and if you had to throw in like any other, other than that, there's nobody else left because then you would technically count Thorin's company as part of Ironfoot.
All right. Does anyone else have any better guesses? Because you are wrong.
I would like to counter.
Okay. I see your 5 and I'll raise you 5.
I'm going to counter with Thorin's army counts. The Thorin and the dwarves. So it's 14 of them because that includes 15 technically because it includes the 13 dwarves,
Hobbit and Gandalf.
Yeah, and Gandalf. All right. That's one army. You have the orcs, you have the elves, you have the people of Lake Town, and you have Ironfoot's army.
Okay. Isaiah's also wrong. Tommy? This is, by the way, this answer is according to Tolkien himself.
Oh.
Okay.
So you guys are both wrong. Not because I disagree with you, but because Tolkien said so.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to say all the same, except the eagles. All the animals are the.
Yes, I was waiting for someone to mention the eagles. I was
army.
Like,
Interesting.
Okay.
So
the answer is a question I had for later.
So you guys are all wrong. It was a trick question. There are more than 5.
What?
According to Tolkien, there are 7 armies in the Battle of the Five Armies.
Right, because
I'll give kudos to all of you. You were all technically correct because they were all within this. But there's technically 7 armies according to the man himself. Which I thought when I read that, I was like, why the fuck did you call it Battle of the Five Armies then if there's 7? But I guess it's the Wood Elves, dwarves, eagles, the Lake Town men, bears because of Beorn and them. That he counts those guys. The goblins and like Azog and them, and then the wolves.
Wolves.
I'm pretty sure the wolves are in the book. But he counts them as he counts them in as the 7th. So technically, if you don't count the wolves, it's still 6, which
still
is more
not
than
5.
5. Yeah.
Thank you, JR.
Thank you for making me more confused than I ever have been. But yeah, that one I just wanted to see what everyone's answer was because that was a question I thought myself watching the movie. I was like, how many armies are there here? I'm confused. But good job. Everyone wins a gold sticker.
Yay.
Now it's time for Isaiah's facts.
Oh, yes.
It's time to get factual.
My favorite.
So, weird amount of facts today. I mean, I kind of few, but they're all very, not want to say scattered, but they're kind of weird. And you'll find out in a minute why. So, to start it off, to film the shots in the mountain ranges, which is, in New Zealand, vast mountain ranges and stuff like that. It took about 10 helicopters to transport the crew and the equipment, and they were very far from any type of civilization. They were out
That
there.
is a lot. Well, good. Well, you said helicopters?
10 helicopters.
Yeah. I mean, helicopters can't hold a ton of people, but that's still crazy. Matt, I wonder how much clearance, like all the paperwork that had to go behind getting 10 helicopters for that.
I'm sure was a nightmare.
Mm-hmm.
Now, craft services would make around 220 pounds of meat a day and serve it to the cast and crew of around 750 people.
Honestly, they're the most underrated in the industry. Crafty. They're the glue.
They're the glue that holds without food, everybody falls apart.
Yeah.
So craft services would also wear suits on Friday, calling it formal Friday, so the crew knew what day of the week it was. Because I guess they would forget constantly.
Interesting.
So this is a funny one. The elk on which Lee Pace, the Andrel, rides in on is actually, when he's actually riding it, is an actual horse, and the horse is named Moose.
Why didn't they just name him Elk?
No, because the horse was named Moose before they hired him, before they got him.
Okay. Just a coincidence.
Yeah, so the elk that he rides on is a horse named Moose.
That is okay. What a sentence.
Yes. So the horse named Moose happened to be the biggest horse in New Zealand at the time, standing at 18 hands high, whatever that means. I'm not sure what 18 hands.
18 hands?
That's how they measure horses.
By literal hands?
They literally go like this, like hands.
But I have like tiny hands. Is it just like, do they have like a certain hand person that they use?
He works all in Australia. He goes around Australia and New Zealand just using his hands.
I'm just a hand guy.
So we're gonna go with Lee Pace's hands. So I'm gonna go with that to answer your question. Because he's the one who said it. Also, every time Lee Pace would say his lines, specifically the line about accepting payment that Bilbo gave him,
with 6 foot horse.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Oh, 6 foot horse? That's pretty tall. He's a big horse. So, whenever Lee Pace would say the line specifically about accepting payment, Moose, the horse, would move as if on cue without fail every single time he would say his line.
Sorry, the thing that you went, Moose, the horse. That broke me for some reason. Continue.
So the horse, every time he would say his line, the horse, Moose, with some reason, start spinning. So by the time he was done with his line, he would basically be like Bilbo would be talking to his back.
Is that in a blooper reel? That's got to be in a blooper reel somewhere.
Lee Pace has actually been saying, they had at some point figure out how the hell they're going to get Moose to stay forward, because by the time he would finish his line, he would be staring at a horse's ass.
Oh, Moose
the horse. Now, when the movie was promoted at a panel at the San Diego Comic Con, I believe this is probably 2012, 2013, fans camped outside the hall the day before to get seats for the panel. In the middle of the night, they were woken up by the cast members of Lee Pace and Andy Serkis, who greeted the waiting fans and delivered autographs and photos for hours on end. What guys?
What? Yeah, I was gonna say, what gentlemen?
What gentlemen?
They are that whole. This isn't the Hobbit, but the Lord of the Rings. That whole cast is still like super close knit. I love seeing that. Like even with Breaking Bad too, which is completely different spectrum, but Bryan Cranston and what's the actor's name that does Jesse Pinkman? They're like super close.
Aaron Paul?
Yes, thank you.
I wasn't confident in that answer.
It's okay. It sounded right.
Yes. Now, to promote the movie, Stephen Colbert got to interview Smaug. There's actually a bit about how his name is actually pronounced Smaug in the bit, by the way. With Benedict Cumberbatch providing his voice again. And if you haven't seen it, it's on YouTube. It's on Comedy Central. It is absolutely hilarious because it's just they just start cracking jokes. And it's also like how Smaug would do bits. Mm-hmm. Like he was like, "Oh, I'm behind the scenes." They were acting, and in fact, I'm going to share a picture of behind the scenes, quote unquote, of Smaug doing motion capture.
Oh no.
And you can check our Discord notes to see the
Oh,
picture.
whoa. What?
It
Oh my
is-
goodness.
I mean, because the image you sent is kind of low quality. It honestly kind of looks legit.
yes, it looks like someone took it on their phone and is like, "Oh, look at that! Just on
Yeah.
set with smog."
That's pretty funny.
And then I will also include a link in our Discord to the video if anyone would like to watch it afterwards,
Sweet.
because it's pretty funny. Our next fact: this is the only movie in the Hobbit trilogy, as well as the Lord of the Rings trilogy, where Legolas blinks normally. In all the other movies, he only blinks when he is surprised or injured. And no, I will not be rewatching all the movies to figure that out.
Legolas is known for his stares. I will say that throughout
Like
the whole franchise, he's always like, and I think that partly could be because of the contacts that he had to wear on set for most of the movies, but it's definitely become a part of his character.
Now, during the end credits, the drawn picture of Bilbo Baggins, when it says when he gives his title card for Martin Freeman, he's holding an acorn. This is a slightly edited picture, as the original one was a behind the scenes set picture of Martin Freeman holding a Lego minifigure of Bilbo, which I will also share.
Why'd they put an acorn?
I don't know. I really kind of wonder why, because there's not a shot of him like holding an acorn in the movie or anything like that. It's just,
I'm surprised they didn't do like a ring.
Yeah, I know, right? That would have been like the better choice, but instead it's an acorn.
Interesting.
Which again, you guys can check the notes channel in our Discord if you want to see any of the pictures that we're referring to. Or you can Google. I'm pretty sure you can Google Bilbo Baggins Martin Freeman acorn. Now, most of the score throughout the trilogy of The Hobbit, the music is mostly reused from Lord of the Rings, except for a few parts of the original music, which Howard Shore, who did all of the music for Lord of the Rings.
Amazing.
So, yes, there's only a few original score pieces for The Hobbit, but most of it is just reused from Lord of the Rings, which is kind of unfortunate.
That's okay. I do like the original, so I am not complaining.
However, Billy Boyd, who played Peregrine Took in Lord of the Rings, wrote and recorded the song The Last Goodbye for the end credits of this film.
Who was it? Billy Boyd?
Billy Boyd.
Who does he play as?
Peregrine Took.
Oh, okay.
For our last fact for today, several cast members kept props from the movie when shooting Wrapped. Martin Freeman kept his sword and prosthetic ears.
That's an odd. The sword is cool as fuck, but the ears is an odd one.
He kept the ears. Richard Armitage, who plays Lord Thorne, kept the original Orcus sword, and Lee Pace kept his elven sword, which he keeps in his umbrella stand. He just has it in his umbrella stand.
That's great.
I'm sure it's by his door. He can, use it to fight off his intruders if there is any.
Nice.
And those are all our facts for today.
Thank you, Isaiah.
Awesome. Great job. I hadn't known any of those, so you got me on that one.
Yeah.
So it's time to break this
movie
bad boy down. Yeah. To actually talk about what we're here for.
Yeah.
So, Tommy, would you like to go first with your overall thoughts and opinions? And then if you could rate it on a scale of 1 to 5 too, what would you rate it?
It's a unique cover. When I first got this, I've never been a huge fan of the Hobbit films. And
I don't think any of us were.
I almost was going to say, I'm not, this is not my slice of pie. But I said, give it a shot. Give it a go. So I watched all 3 films. I was surprised. I was really very surprised how much I enjoyed them. I think the nudity was a little too excessive.
Yeah, I didn't enjoy seeing smog like that. It was too much.
I wasn't sure how that joke was going to go over. It was good. One of the things, from an AD standpoint, like I always looked at the logistics. I would get drawing logistics. I said, "Oh my God, this film is so hard." I know this is not what you're looking for, but this is what I came from, my AD background. I said, "This film must have been just really tough to make.
Mm.
When they're going down the river in barrels. I know it's not the third film; it's the second. I was like,
Yeah.
I saw, but I did see when you said about in the last podcast, you said it was kind of crappy when the elves jumps off the dwarf jumps off the bridge and goes. You can see the cartoonish
CGI and cartoony.
exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, all those. I mean, just shooting that wide at the end, Five Armies. I thought was amazing.
Mm-hmm.
I thought when he got stabbed in the foot, in the ice. I said, I couldn't even tell you how to do that, let alone shoot it. I was impressed by that, but it was a good film. I think the money going back and forth about the gold. I think that was a socialist agenda.
Mm.
Joke.
Oh, see, I that one went over my head. I'm not gonna lie. Lewis got it though. Isaiah definitely got it. I think he's okay. Are you okay?
Yes.
I think it was good. I liked it. I mean, like I said, I was not expecting as much as I thought, but I liked the end. I like the way the king dwarf turned it around. I'll give it a 4.
4 out of 5. Very good. Lewis, Isaiah, who wants to take the reins?
I would like to go next. It's relatively short what I have to say, but I know Isaiah hates decimals, right?
Yeah.
So I would give it like a 2.75 if I could. I'm gonna go up to the 3. This one is not as middle of the road as the others. For me, my personal distaste for certain scenes included, like, not even scenes, but just certain decisions they made in terms of like the story, even though I know it wasn't really a lot of source material with the books. Smaug's death being relegated to the first, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes of the film.
Yeah.
Less than 10 minutes of the film, and being such a one-shot type deal. Literally was just like, he's flying at the end of the last movie saying, I am death. It's fucking like terrifying and, you know, kind of inspiring in a sense. And then like the next scene, it's like, you're going to burn with your son. Oh, wait, you got me with an arrow in the chest. Fuck.
Yeah.
Dead.
Smaug had a heart out.
Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit of heartburn. So yeah, so I was not exactly happy about that after about the first, like, and that thought didn't hit me until like the next 20 or so minutes later, because I realized, oh yeah, he's not gonna like rise from the ashes and be like, you thought you could stop me.
Yeah, they already did that.
Yeah. No, I know, but like I'm saying, just that particular scene, like I was like, oh, you thought like that arrow to the heart would be enough, and he'll be like like dying breaths type deal. You still have to like strike him or something. I don't know. Or drop, like they've done in multiple other movies, drop some big ass boulder, right? Other scenes I would have changed ever so slightly, or maybe fleshed out a little more. Definitely one I would have changed is Thorin having that moment, that acid trip scene where he's like, all these voices in his head. I would have rather they did like the ghosts of the dwarf kings talking to him and being like, you're better than
his
this.
Father.
Or his father's ghost or his grandfather's ghost. Anything like that would have been like,
I agree.
I think it would have been more in line with what the films have already set as like their theme, right?
Yeah.
Because you've seen like all the ghosts featured in other scenes, and all the reverence for them. Tariel's goodbye to Killy and Thranduil being like, because it was real, and like acknowledging that what he said earlier was obviously spiteful and shit. I would have fleshed out that whole, even though I know you guys didn't really like the whole love triangle shit there, I would have I would have at least taken the effort to try and flesh out that particular moment in the film, as like her saying goodbye and everything like that. And Thranduil being like, yes, I you know, I'm acknowledging that I'm being a spiteful bitch because I lost my wife in a fierce battle long ago. There was one other thing. This wasn't so much shot of the movie, actually. No, this was a random fact I want to throw in. Azog the Defiler, Bolg, his son, multiple other orcs you see throughout the film are actually featured in the Shadow of Mordor and Shadow of War games as like characters you can recruit for your army, and also characters you can fight in general.
That's cool.
Be honest, are they good? Because I've been wanting to play them.
I enjoyed it. It's very, it can be very repetitive as far as like what not the main quest, but like the side stuff you do is like, it's very repetitive combat, very repetitive objectives, sort of thing like that. But the story is cool as far as like going into like the more extended universe type deal.
Fair enough.
But I think I rage quit a little bit the last time I played. Yeah,
that's you gave it a 2.75.
Yes.
Okay.
If Isaiah doesn't like that, then we'll go with 3.
What does Letterboxd say? Letterboxd says 3.
Letterboxd says 3.
So first off, I just want to state that Galadriel is so strong that she just lifted. She just held Gandalf like it was nothing. She hoisted him up and was like carrying him. I was impressed. I was like, that's a badass bitch. I agree that Thorin's sickness was not. It was done well overall, but that one like acid trip scene, yeah, that kind of threw me off. It felt very like weird and kind of like, I get it's supposed to be like a sickness, but I think yes, the thought like having a scene where he's talking with his ancestors and like those before him would have been more impactful than just being like, oh, I'm sorry, I've been a crazy person this entire time. I'm fixed now. You know, like it would have been way more impactful towards the story.
That was an oopsie. Let's get back to what we got to do.
Yeah. They're like, oh, we've gone too far. What can we do to change this quick? I just want to also give props to Orlando Bloom for being an excellent swordsman. I don't know how much of this fighting he actually did in the films, but like I've seen his work in Pirates of the Caribbean as well. And he's just so good with a sword. It's impressive. Like he really, and like you can tell, and I mean, obviously you can CGI his face in, but you can tell that some of the scenes he actually does do the choreography for it. And I had to write that in because I had a little moment.
Something real and not CGI. Oh my God.
Yeah. Now, something that I don't know if you guys noticed this at the end of the film, but it was something that I noticed and I really enjoyed that they did it because they didn't make a big deal out of it. You know how a lot of films tend to force feed you like, hey, notice this thing. Isaiah's talked about this a lot. Like, hey, notice this thing we're trying to push in your face so that you notice this thing. And it was when Thorin is fighting Azog, like the final battle between the two of them. And Legolas throws his sword and he grabs it. And there's like a brief moment where he kind of looks at it, but it's not like super like long or drawn out. But it's just like, to me, that was very symbolic of like, he's finally forgiven the elves in a way. And he's using an elvish sword to defeat Azog. That was my personal take on that. I mean, I'm sure that's what they were going for, but I really enjoyed that. I thought it was very, very nice little symbolic moment. So Toriel and Keely. Toriel's not in the books. So I've said this multiple times. She doesn't exist. So I could do without her storyline. But unfortunately, there is a love triangle. And I've come to terms with it. But I think, yes, Keely's death felt very weird because they never really, like, if you think about it, their relationship is much like a Disney movie where it's like, oh, we fell in love in a span of 3 times of meeting each other kind of a thing.
Yeah, this movie only takes place over the course of like 2 days.
Exactly. And it's like, they're not like they had like one long conversation when he was imprisoned and like, that was it. Other than that, there's nothing crazy that happens that's like, oh yeah, I can feel the connection. So I felt like they really lacked in that department of like, fine, if you're going to go with the love triangle thing, go for it, but just really develop it so that it feels convincing. And I just feel like they didn't do that very well. What was it you said earlier, Lewis, about Smaug? Right. So Smaug dies super early on in this movie. Spoilers. in the book, right at the end of the movie, in the book, Bilbo gets knocked out, just like in the movie. But then you don't get to know like all of this shit that goes down, except for like, I think he wakes up and it's like the Eagles are here to save the day. And like, you don't know a lot about what went down within that actual battle. Whereas with the movies, obviously they decided to stretch it out and fill in with like Thorin's overall story arc and completing that, and then also completing Killy and Tariel and stuff like that. So I get that there was need for those arcs to be completed, but I still wish that they had, like, if they had gotten rid of Keely and Tariel's story arc, you could have had Swamp in there a little bit longer. Catch what I'm saying? Like, sacrifices, I guess, should have been made. But overall, I think it is the weakest out of the three for me. I felt that the kind of a rough way to end the trilogy, even though it wrapped it up well enough. I just feel like there was a lot more negatives or cons than there were pros to this one versus the other films. So I'm going to give it a 2.5. I'm being a little mean today. I could say 2.75, but Isaiah's already...
Oh, you're not going to be that mean?
Had an aneurysm from the last one, so... Isaiah, I have way more notes written down, but those were like the big ones. But Isaiah, why don't you go ahead?
First note I had was using your son as a stabilizer.
Using your son as a stabilizer.
Because Bard uses his son to fire the arrow.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, I didn't know who you were referring to at first. That was interesting too. That was an interesting scene.
Like, son, stay still a little bit to the left before I fire this arrow right next to you. I just thought that was funny.
Also, wouldn't the feathers like cut his face?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
But we're not talking about physics. You know, he's throwing it at a dragon.
Right, movie magic.
Yeah, movie magic. Now, a lot of this trilogy was kind of made up, especially like basically the entire second movie.
Yeah.
And I didn't like all the parts that were like original content. I didn't really like the love triangle, Legolas being there, Chandril, like all that stuff was just kind of eh.
It was more so just to be like, hey, you know these guys from the originals. Kind of a move.
They pulled what I don't like that Hollywood likes to do now is the callback of being like, it's what Jurassic Park did for the last movie, being like, guys, remember these characters? You can come watch the movie because you like those guys so much. And we know the stuff that we've been doing now has kind of been, ass. But remember the old guys? Remember that? You should come on over,
Yeah.
I'm like, okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
No. So a lot of that stuff I wasn't like really into, especially like the love triangle and all that kind of stuff. So I was like, I'm not going to like that. So and they obviously didn't have enough time to flesh it out. It's weird how you have 6 hours of the movie and you don't have enough time to flesh things out, especially with stuff when you're making stuff up. I don't know. Also, the trilogy's called The Hobbit. Bilbo goes to his arc in the first movie, and the other two, he's just there.
Then it's the dwarfs. Yeah,
then it's just the dwarf show. And I'm like, okay, so it's no longer The Hobbit. It should just be called The Dwarves at this point.
Yeah.
So it really, all those aspects they were trying to go for ends up kind of just falling a bit flat than they needed to be, which is a shame.
I agree.
A little pet peeve I realized is that everyone sees Thorin having like the dragon sickness, but no one questions it.
No one does anything about it.
They're like, oh, we understand he's like, he got sickness going on, right?
Yeah.
But he's giving us orders. Okay, we're gonna go to march to our deaths, despite the fact that we know we're doing it because of that instead of an actual logical decision. I'm like, okay, so you're just creating conflict for no reason.
My favorite is how after he threatens to throw Bilbo over the edge of the wall, they're still like, yeah, he's just having an off day.
Yeah. Kind of, yeah, as everyone else saw, kind of disappointed that Smug kind of just like dies within the first 5 minutes. That's an L. I
think that's a general consensus amongst most people who watched it.
Yeah. And then my final note is that the movie, they obviously added Sauron to be connected to the Lord of the Rings, right? They needed everything to be connected. When the Hobbit technically doesn't really need to be connected because the whole point is that they take place during two different stories and they're two different adventures, and the whole Sauron is connected to the thing just as something they added so that they could have the first movie, the movies to be connected, and just have a third movie because they, I guess Warner Brothers got a little greedy there for a minute.
Yeah.
And they forced Peter Jackson to make a third movie. They're like, you need another one. And they tried. It didn't really work out. And it kind of shows. Now, the technical aspect and everything they did, and especially after watching all the behind the scenes of what they did to make this movie, absolutely legendary. All of them they tried their hardest. They had their fun. I can't fault them at that. However, the stuff that obviously the studio interfered with to get them to do more things just messed it up a little too much. It muddled the project.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I had to give it a 2.5 out of 5 as well.
Geez, I'm easy.
Yeah. I think overall after rewatching them, I think I was surprisingly pleased because I remember hating them when I watched them for the first time. But after rewatching them, I was like, you know what? Even though I gave them shitty ratings, I was like, you know what? These aren't as bad as I thought I remembered they were. So I got to give them that, I guess. But
yeah.
So thank you, everyone, then, for listening to today's episode. And again, thank you, Tommy, for joining us in our completion of The Hobbit. Can you take a second and tell the listeners where they can find you? I know you mentioned your website, but do you have any other social media plugs?
Well, actually, I want to mention something that I've never said anywhere else in the world. Kind of a behind the scenes. It has to do with the movie. I was working on a movie called Kimberly. It was with Sean Astin. That's my connection to he was on the playground. We're playing baseball. And he was doing autographs, and all of a sudden I called him back to the set because I'm a slave driver. That's what I do. And I remember him saying to the crowd, "Sorry guys, it's not all sunglasses and autographs." So that's why it kind of relates half-assedly, I admit, to the movies. They get my books at TommyBurke.com. I'm gonna try to sell the book more and get out of. Anyone wants me to speak, I'll speak for hardly any money. Because I want to get the thrust of the book is don't give up on your dreams.
Yeah,
don't give up.
Absolutely.
It shows you all the stuff I go through, and I hope. I don't know if you got to the crazy stuff at the end of the book yet.
Haven't yet. I'm a slow reader. I'm getting there.
I'm
though.
about halfway. Yeah.
Don't spoil it for me.
it's some really freaky stuff.
Oh boy.
Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah.
I know briefly what you've been through based off of your, what's on your website. So I know what's in store in the book, but I don't know if the other two.
I can put a joke in here somewhere. I just can't figure out how to do it.
There's something in there.
So I'm glad that book signing's coming up. I'm glad to speak to anybody on Zoom or anything like that. Any questions about getting the film business, I'm glad to counsel them, whatever I need to do. You guys are great, by the way. I really enjoyed being with you guys.
Thank you. We had a great time. We're glad you could be on here. But yeah, seriously, anyone who can read and likes to read should, or audiobook who can listen, definitely go check out the book. It is great. And that's coming from someone who does not like reading. So that's saying a lot. It's hilarious. It's brilliantly well written. And it's a trip from beginning to end is the best way I can put it.
I would also like to say it's a very inspiring story. Tommy, you've really done and said a lot, and I kudos to you, man. You are definitely an inspiration for a lot of people out there.
Mm-hmm.
Go speak on Silver Screen Sips.
There we go. But yes, so you know where to find him, and you know where to find us, basically on any social media at Silver Screen Sips. But also be sure to email us movie suggestions for our listeners episode. We have one coming up soon that is going to be Disney themed movies. So send in any Disney, can be Marvel, Star Wars, as long as it's owned by Disney, it counts.
So that means you have 70% of the market to choose from.
Yes.
Yes, exactly.
Yes. So send those suggestions in before it's too late so we can watch and review them. We will be having a special guest on for that episode. It's Fantastic Dream Podcast. We actually, Lewis was just on their show the other day. They were talking about the Elemental Pixar movie that just came out, or the trailer for it came out. Don't get too excited. But yeah, they talked all things Disney and drinks and everything. So definitely go check that episode out. Our name is in the title, so it's easy to find. It's pretty recent. And they're going to come back on our show for the listeners episode. So Disney movies, send those suggestions in, please, if you can. And we will see you guys next week, where we'll be talking about the original Lord of the Rings trilogy, starting with Fellowship of the Ring. Perhaps the best, but I don't want to spoil anything. Don't want to speak too soon.
You guys will finally get to hear my opinions. I know I've been not wanting to see it.
I've been dying. This is, by the way, Tommy, this is like Isaiah's first time ever watching any of the Lord of the Rings movies. So we've been dying for him to watch these.
Yes.
I don't think I'm going to watch them now too.
Yeah, I've been waiting for his opinion on, especially I didn't care about the Hobbit, what his opinions were on those, because I felt like we were on the same boat. Well, no, because I thought we'd be on the same boat, but I have a feeling you might not be on the same boat with me as Lord of the Rings. So I'm curious to see what happens. But anyways, thank you again, everyone, for being here. Tommy, Lewis, Isaiah, you guys are contractually obligated to be here, but Tommy's not. So thank you.
It was my pleasure.
Yeah. All right,
Thank you,
everyone. We will see you next week. Have a great day, morning, evening, night.
Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm. Bye.